string of nipples from breasts, all on a string.
They found a shade pole that was made from a set of women's lips.
And they had found other body parts there. Then you'd go out into what would be like a living room, and they found furniture, a lampshade that was made out of human skin, chairs that were upholstered in human skin.
They found face masks. Gein had apparently flayed the skin from the heads of the victims and preserved them and stuffed them with paper and hung them on the wall as decorations.
De ene vondst is nog gruwelijker dan de andere. Dan vindt een van de sheriffs een bruine papieren zak.
He opened the paper bag and saw a hank of human hair, and as he himself later described it, he said he had no idea what possessed him to do it, but just sort of reflexively, he reached in and pulled this thing out.
Tot zijn ontzetting blijkt het om het gezicht van een vrouw te gaan. En het ergste is nog dat de sheriffs haar kennen. Het is de eigenaresse van het dorpscafé, Mary Hogan, die al 3 jaar wordt vermist. 30 uur lang zit de man die vermoedelijk verantwoordelijk is voor wat de politie heeft aangetroffen in zijn cel. Hij weigert zijn mond open te doen, maar als ze hem uiteindelijk confronteren met het lijk van Bernice Worden, begint Ed Gein te vertellen.
He was perfectly happy to cooperate with the police. You know, all he asked for was a slice of apple pie with some cheddar cheese on top of it.
And according to the investigator, Ed ate the thing, and after that he told them anything they wanted to know.
They said, well, what's all these body parts in here, Ed? You know, how many people did you kill? All the dead stuff in his house. They just assumed that it was like murder victims.
Gein bekent schuld aan slechts 2 moorden, namelijk op Bernice Worden en op Mary Hogan. De rest van de macabere voorwerpen heeft hij naar eigen zeggen gemaakt van lijken die hij op allerlei begraafplaatsen heeft gestolen.
Plainfield woke up that Sunday morning to find out what had been living in their community for all these years, and that was Ed Gein.
My dad, he couldn't tell us what had happened. He just said, I want you to come in and watch the news tonight with me. And the news came up on the television. He was the person. I just said to my dad, oh my gosh, that's Ed.
We were all upset. We were all devastated. We were horrified about what had happened. It was a terrible, horrible thing.
It was just such a complete shock, I guess. It was something that was a little bit difficult to talk about.
It wasn't just the murder of Bernice Worden that was so disturbing. It was the other terrible things that he did that was upsetting so many people.
I mean, this is a guy who had been living in their community almost all his life and been a babysitter for their children, had been eating at their table. Well, look what he did and how he did it. They couldn't believe it.
Well, I figured he was just perfectly harmless and rather simple. Was he ever married or
Niet alleen Plainfield, maar heel Amerika is diep geschokt. Bijna meteen wordt het dorp overspoeld door journalisten. Dat is het begin van Ed Gein's metamorfose van anonieme psychoot tot een soort cultureel icoon. En de oorzaak kan worden gevonden in zijn jeugd, want zoals Norman Bates zegt, niemand houdt zoveel van een man als zijn moeder. In november 1947 wordt het nieuws over Ed Gein in heel Amerika breed uitgemeten in de pers. Het land heeft een morbide belangstelling opgevat voor de man die in de kranten de slager van Plainfield wordt genoemd. Iets wat ook de schrijver Robert Bloch, die dan in Wisconsin woont, niet ontgaat.
It was exactly the time that the Gein case was breaking in the newspapers, and Bloch immediately recognized that it would be a wonderful basis for a horror story.
Het resultaat is het boek Psycho, dat in 1959 verschijnt en een jaar later door Alfred Hitchcock wordt verfilmd.
The story of Psycho is the story of Norman Bates, a single, deeply disturbed mama's boy, for lack of a better word, who runs a hotel and murders unsuspecting young women who cause him to have any sexual urges or impulses.
One of the main things that Bloch took from the Gein case was the psychological relationship between Norman and his mother, which very much parallels that between Annie and his mother.
Augusta Gein is al 12 jaar dood als de politie het huis binnengaat waar zij ooit met haar zoon heeft gewoond. Terwijl ze kamer voor kamer doorzoeken op sporen die kunnen helpen verklaren hoe iemand ertoe komt om zulke misdaden te plegen, stuiten ze op een deuropening die met planken is dichtgespijkerd.
And by that time, of course, they had seen so many horrific things, they had no idea what they were going to discover behind the doors of this room. And when they broke it down, what they discovered was that it was a room that was kept in a state of perfect, pristine preservation. And that turned out to be the room of Ed's mother.
The bed was made. There was a table, night table. Had a Bible on it. The room was very dusty, musty. The wallpaper was sort of a rose-tinted thing, but it was all kind of discolored. And that was his shrine to his mother.
Na zijn arrestatie moet Ed Gein zich op last van de rechter onderwerpen aan een psychiatrisch onderzoek dat een maand in beslag neemt. Stukje bij beetje begint men een beeld te krijgen van het leven achter de muren van de boerderij in Plainfield, waar Ed Gein langzaam maar zeker krankzinnig werd. Ed Gein wordt in 1906 in de stad La Crosse in Wisconsin geboren. Hij is de zoon van een aan alcohol verslaafde kruidenier en een vrome huisvrouw met een sterke wil. Als Ed 8 is, eist zijn moeder dat het hele gezin weggaat uit La Crosse.
One reason apparently she insisted that the family move from La Crosse was because in her mind, you know, it was like Sodom and Gomorrah.
Van de opbrengst van de verkochte kruidenierswinkel koopt de familie Gein een boerderij van 80 hectare even buiten Plainfield. Het gezin raakt geïsoleerd en begint zich steeds vreemder te gedragen.
Mr. Gein had a very strange relationship with his mother. It was a love-hate relationship. He listened to her and worshipped her and followed her very closely.
She was a religiously devout, if not fanatical woman. Very, very domineering, very, very strong-willed. I mean, she completely dominated her husband, as well as her two sons, Gein and his brother Henry.
Augusta would preach a lot out of the book of Revelations that said that women were whores, women were tramps, women were definitely evil beings out to, you know, hurt people.
The Gein household really became a sort of breeding ground for psychopathology. You know, you have these four people stuck together, completely under the sway of this woman. So it really becomes an incubation place for madness.
Gein gaat tot zijn 14e naar school. Hij is geen opvallende leerling. Uit later onderzoek blijkt dat hij een gemiddeld IQ heeft.
And when he finished school at approximately 7th grade, he just went home then and worked on the farm there. So he did not have contact with the outside world, shall we say, to any extent.
In 1940, als Ed 34 is, overlijdt zijn vader na een hartaanval. En nu zijn Ed Gein, zijn moeder en zijn oudere broer Henry nog maar met z'n drieën.
I think Henry was probably a genteel man who worked hard on the farm and tried to please his mother as well. But he wasn't Ed. He had his own ideas of how his life should be led.
In mei 1944 zijn Ed en Henry druk met het blussen van een kreupelhoutbrand op hun land. Volgens Ed kregen ze de brand niet onder controle en verloor hij zijn broer uit het oog. Hij gaat naar de politie en hoewel hij